सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय बिन्दुनादान्तरात्मने आदिमध्यान्तशून्याय गुरूणां गुरवे नमः। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। धर्मात्मा सत्यसन्धश्च रामो दाशरथिर्यदि पौरुषे च प्रतिद्वन्द्वः शरैनं जहि रावणिम्. Welcome back, everybody, to the continuation of the Ramayana, exploring the attributes of Rama through the eyes of Valmiki. What was Valmiki's intention behind putting forth a huge list of 16 qualities, and how Rama is an abode of all those 16 qualities. And that has been our pedigree so far, that has been our path so far. That is how we have been exploring Ramayana. All this while, we are also constantly trying to see the merit in exploring all these qualities, exploring the character of Rama. We are also trying to build uh, the bridge from Iswara to Swara, or the other way around as well. How Swara can lead to Iswara, how everything, Ishvara to Swara. So how everything is only to Ishvara, and how everything else has also, everything also has emerged from Ishvara. So when we take a look at Rama as a complete person, um, completeness determined by the qualities, the attributes, that gives us a fair idea of Ishvara. And if we are able to talk about it, if we are able to articulate it, if we are able to bring it out, so to speak, then that would be Ishvara to Swara. Gunas that we are talking about, it's a very unique concept. The gunas play a significant role. The literal meaning of the word guna is secondary. Sometimes it comes as a surprise. The primary meaning of the word guna is secondary, subordinate. However, even though our focus should not be on the guna, but it should eventually lead us towards guni, the one who has the guna. Hence, you see that he did not. When Valmiki questioned, you have to look at all the words that he has spoken. The first word is gunavan, kaschavir. So, viryam is a quality. Atma guna is a quality, but gunavan is a person who possesses this quality. So, Valmiki's question is like not directly hinting towards the guna, but it is mentioning that I'm looking forward, or I'm looking towards a person who is accomplished or who is bestowed with this particular guna. So that goes on to show that our where should our eyes be? What should we be aiming? Uh, when we have heard so many words and so many descriptions about Paramatma in so many occasions, we say that Ananta Kalyana Guna Paripurna. It's a very popular word. Whenever Bhagavan has to be described, so most of the times the poets, the Vagyayakaras, everybody, they use this word Ananta Kalyana Guna Paripurna. First and foremost, there is no count for his gunas, even though 16 is a number that we are working with, because we have those 16 being mentioned in the text Ramayana as part of Valmiki's question. So we are utilizing that, we are taking up those numbers. However, if we want to sit down and take a note of all the qualities, then it says that we won't be able to. We won't be able to go through the end of the Kalyana Gunas, the Atma Gunas, the great qualities of Rama, because it is Ananta, it is endless, it is infinite. So Ananta and each and every one of them is Kalyana. So what is this Kalyana? Kalyana is the part that we need to focus. So basically, it needs to bring about that Mangalyam onto us. It should bestow Mangalyam onto us. So most of the times we forget, why do we have to study Ramayana, or why do we have to hear the story of Ramayana, or why should we hear to any stotra, any kriti, or watch any performance on Ramayana? What is it that this text particularly holds? I'm not talking only about Ramayana, but this applies to all other texts as well. What should be the spirit with which we approach these kind of texts? The spirit should be that this is all going to help us in bringing about that mangalyam, bringing about that auspiciousness to us. So when there is auspiciousness, all of a sudden we tend to be more focused on the ultimate purpose of life. It is only due to lack of auspiciousness that we end up in a mess. Most of the times we are not aware. We have heard coffee is not the only thing that brings us out of depression. You can wash your feet. Try washing your feet once in a while. Try washing your hands. Try washing your face, and start putting something on your forehead, and you will see a remarkable change in your approach, in your attitude, in your focus. And these are all small things, little things, tiny things that contribute towards that auspiciousness. And when we hear these stories, when we try to understand the story of Ramayana, when we try to imbibe the qualities of Rama, what is it actually doing to us? Is it's not like we are trying to understand the character in an intellectual manner. We are not just only analyzing it on an intellectual level, but it needs to rise to the spiritual level, where we have to let those qualities work its magic, weave its magic around us. And that truly happens if we pay enough attention to it. And every time we see, this is the concept that actually makes Sahitya the most powerful tool. This is all part of Sahitya, no? So I think we have not spoken about this. So this is the moment that I choose to discuss about that. There are three types of words, three types of speech available in the whole world. So all words that we speak, all types of communication that we do, can be categorized into three. What are these three types of, what are the three categories of communication via speech that happens? That the first one is an order kind of thing. So where there no options are given, that is called as Prabhu Samhita. It just gives an order, just like how the king passes an order. So once the king has passed an order, or nowadays, if the government has passed an order, then there is no turning back. There is no room for negotiation. We can't go out and ask for some subsidy, some discount. That is it okay if I don't do this for 2 days? They won't entertain. So that is called as Prabhu Samhita. Some words are like that. Some literature that we have in our Sanatana Dharma are like that. Prabhu Samhita. They just stamp their authority like anything. And then comes a second variety of speech, second variety of communication that has happened, that has been passed on through generations. That is called as Suhrit Samhita. It is not Samhita, by the way, it is Sammita. Mita is the word. Mita means well weighed. Sariyagi tooka hakiddu. It means that it has been subjected to plenty of parameters, and then we have arrived at this conclusion that this is how much it weighs, this is its value, and we have already determined the value of this particular thing. So when we have already determined the value of something, then that particular thing whose value has already been determined shall be called as mita. Okay, manena itam. Manena itam means gatam. Gatam means jnatam. So with the help of all the pramanas, all the parameters, all the validation tools, I have thoroughly examined this and validated that this is the value of this particular thing. That is called as mita. When it is done thoroughly over 100 times by 100 different scholars, when it is examined and when it has gone through peer review, okay, We hear in journals, no, peer-reviewed journal, okay, a blind review journal. So like this, it has to be presented in front of worthy scholars, and if it passes the test of all these scholars, then it shall be called as sammita. So the words that are equivalent to Prabhu are called as Prabhu Sammita. Sammita means equivalent because it has gone through so many tests. It has been thoroughly established in our head. The example is firmly set in our mind. That is why it is drishtanta. The another word for when do we call something as equivalent to anything? For example, if I have to say, if I have to describe Paramatma's karunyam, daya, okay, the task is given that describe Paramatma's karunyam. I don't know what adjectives I should use. What is the metaphor that I can get to describe Paramatma's karunya? So what I'll do is, I know that the idea that I have about Paramatma's karunya is that it is abundant, it is unlimited, it is infinite. But I cannot say that so. I have to use a metaphor. I have to come up with a comparison. I have to find an equivalent of thing. So what could be equivalent to Paramatma's daya, Paramatma's karunyam? They said, I think the only thing that comes closer to that is they could have said Akasha as well, because Akasha is also abundant. Sky is also abundant, isn't it? But no. You see, they use the word karunyam there. Sorry, samudra there. Karuna Sagara, Daya Sagara, Daya Sindhu, Kripa Sindhu. So many words. Why particularly this samudra metaphor for karunya of Paramatma? Because not only samudra is beyond our calculation, beyond our imagination, with the scope of our own eyes, are we able to comprehend the width, the depth of Paramatma? The answer is no, we can't. We probably cannot. Nobody can ever get that completeness, the idea of Samudra. Therefore, like how we cannot see, this is the mita. Mita is, I have tested it 100 times. Not only me, I have 100 such testimonials as well. When I say that it is impossible for us to get the depth and width of Samudra with our naked eye in one go. It is impossible to comprehend the width of Samudra. If I make this statement, all of those who agree with me may raise your hand. If I said so, how many of us will not raise our hand, you tell me? So all of us will, because the statement is 100% true. So this is why it is not only mita, but it is sammita. I have thoroughly tested this, and now I'm using this to compare the next one, compare the actual one. What am I comparing to? With whom am I comparing? When they said Prabhu Sammita, they meant that we are comparing our literature to Prabhu. So there is no difference between the way the king passes an order and a certain set of literature. I'll tell you what set of literature falls under the category of Prabhu Sammita. Vedas fall under the category of Prabhu Sammita because Vedas don't give any option. If Vedas say Aharaha Sandhyam Upasita, or if Vedas say Satyam Vada, there is no gray area here, isn't it? But we have all been told, or we have all grown up thinking or believing, rather, not even thinking, believing that if it is for a good cause, then you can lie. No, you cannot. Do you think Veda gives such an option? What is the Upanishad Vakya? The Veda very clearly mentions Satyam Vada. Do you think there is a clause there, an asterisk mark, and then they have added an amendment has been made where other mantra says that if it is helping others, then you may lie? No Veda mantra has ever said that. Therefore, we get to know that this is the proper idea. And all these ideas that we are getting, all these Ananta Kalyana Gunas that we talk about, all of them are present in the Vedas in one or the other format, in one or the other way it has been presented. We may have to infer from it. We should not forget that the closest literature, the closest epic that we have to Vedas is Ramayana. And most of the times we tend to forget this fact, and we want to move away from Ramayana and Veda, basically. It has been so convenient for us for all these years to to move away from Veda because we find it more soothing. We think that if we remain closer and closer to Veda, we are afraid that we will be tagged as orthodox. So we don't want that hanepatti, we don't want the tagline attached to us. It's almost as if, it is some kind of uncool name that will be given to us, that, oh, you believe in Vedas. And then people will come up with all these things. I think Vyakarana is more logical. I like things that explain things logically. Veda also explains things logically only. We are not able to comprehend, we are not able to understand or reach the level of logic the Veda produces, that's all. Just because I am not able to understand the logic that Veda is talking about, I'm dismissing the entire Veda and I don't want to associate myself with Veda. This is a serious disease that has existed amongst ourselves. And I'm not leaving anybody, I'm not sparing anybody. There is a huge void when it comes to proudly say or proudly represent Vedas. We talk from great platforms that Vedas are our greatest treasure, all these things. Okay. But when it comes to our practice, do you think we put the Vedas or the Vedic practices into action on a daily basis? We don't, because Veda is like Prabhu Samhita. Veda just gives you an order. It doesn't allow you to think around it, beat around the bush, get some leave from it, find some discounts in it. Veda doesn't allow any such things. So that makes our life further difficult. So this is the reason why we usually it's very difficult for us to associate ourselves with Veda. Why I'm saying all these things is we should not forget that Ramayana is the closest Sahitya that we have to Veda. Veda prachetasadaasit sakshad Ramayanatmana is what the Vakya says. So that is a clear indication that what is the closest Sahitya, closest Mahakavya, closest Itihasa that you can find that can present to us the Veda in its understandable format, in an easier format, in an easier format in the sense, the way we can comprehend. We may not be able to understand the Vedas, but can we understand the Vedartha, the essence of Veda, in a language that is easier to comprehend? Yes, there is. That is what Ramayana is all about. And since we are talking about Ramayana, we need to know that with whom is Ramayana compared? From what is Ramayana representing? Ramayana is representing nothing but the Veda. That should not be forgotten, even though it is convenient to forget all these things and establish Ramayana as an independent thing, as a sovereign thing, where anybody can walk in, pick their desirable thing and interpret it in how many ever ways they want. Funny, isn't it? The closest Sahitya to Veda, subjected to so much of tampering, if I can say so. Even though it says that Sahitya allows that poetic freedom, but one should not abuse that freedom and go to an extent where you can twist and turn the story in such a way and present it in such a way that it opposes the whole idea from where it is inspired, from whatever point of view that Ramayana is inspired. If that is getting compromised because of our interpretations, because of the stories that I have made out of Ramayana, then it means that we are compromising on the core of it, on the crux of it, on the heart and soul of it. It's like holding on to the body while we have sold our soul, or while we have sold our heart and prana to somebody else. That should not happen. Therefore, at the heart and soul of Ramayana is Veda. The heart and soul of Ramayana is Veda. We must never forget that. All right. So anyway, now Prabhu Samhita, you can find the type of Prabhu Samhita, I'll tell you, in a broader vision, in a broader perspective. Prabhu Samhita is usually Vedas. Vedas are considered as an example, or they belong to the category of Prabhu Samhita. When it comes to Suhrit Samhita, it is Puranas and Itihasas. All our Puranas and Itihasas are like Suhrit Samhita. What is Suhrit Samhita? Suhrit means a friend. Samhita is equivalent. So Puranas and Itihasas are equivalent to friends. They act, they communicate to us, they speak to us in the format of, or they speak to us like a friend. Vedas speak to us like a king. How does a king speak to us? A king speaks to his subjects in the form of an order. He only gives an order. He only grants an order. He doesn't allow us to debate on it. He passes an order. Whereas a friend, when a friend sends a message, when a friend communicates few things to us, it still allows us that particular time to ponder over it, to think over it, to analyze it. So this is what friends usually allow, isn't it? They don't force anything upon you, but at the same time, a true friend will present both sets of arguments. They will tell you the story of a Rakshasa, they will also tell you the story of a Deva. And when they present the story, they will also present the pros and cons of both of them. And then they will slowly lead us towards saying that this is what you need to do. They will deliver that message. It's not like they will falter in delivering that message. They will, but they do it in a peculiar way. The words are not important there. The meaning is more important in Puranas and Itihasas. In Vedas, more than the meaning, it is the word. You cannot compromise on the word. You cannot have a different interpretation for the words. You cannot replace, you cannot change, you cannot alter, you cannot modify the words spoken there. So the words carry huge value in Vedas. Whereas in Itihasas and Puranas, the meaning carries more value. So the words might be, you might find 2 or 3 editions of these words of the same shloka. However, even if we find 2 or 3 editions of the same shloka, where should we be pointing or what should we be observing? We must be observing the meaning. That is what Suhrit Samhita means. But then they say that neither one of them is that impactful when it comes to delivering the message. Okay. When a king tells us to do something, we forcefully we do it. Okay. Because I don't have any other option. When a friend tells us to do something, we feel obligated and we do it because I can see the merit for a while. Whatever my friend has spoken, I can see the merit for a while, and then I'll be able to connect with it. I'll be able to relate myself to it, and I will do it. But there is one more thing where involuntarily things happen. Nobody has to force us to do anything. We get involved in the right sort of action involuntarily. How does it happen? Let me tell you an example. Most of us have gone through this phase, and we might even be looking at this phase in front of us as well. There is a mother and a kid. Okay. The kid is not drinking milk. So the mother wants the child to drink milk. Today happens to be such a day where the kid has decided that no matter what my mother tries, I'm not going to drink the milk. It has made up its mind. But the mother is not accepting the defeat like that. So what is the first line when a mother has prepared milk? Or you can replace the word milk and you can take up a different thing. Maybe uppittu you can take, upma. Yeah, most of us don't like upma, especially if it has to be early in the morning and you are leaving and mother has prepared upma. And the first statement that comes out of my mother's mouth is that I have prepared upma, you have to eat it. You must eat it. Okay, it's an order. The first line of communication that happens when the mother has prepared upma to the child is finish upma. Finished. That's the end of the statement. Okay, there are no offerings done there. And if you finish this, I will give you that. I will give you this. No such things. It's a direct order. But the kid has denied now. So when the kid denies, then the mother comes up with a different plan. She has a strategy. She's brilliant. She says that you know that famous person, Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli's favorite dish. Virat Kohli's favorite dish is upma. Then for a moment, the kid thinks, It is not going to dismiss the entire fact. It wants to pursue it, but it is still in a sort of a dilemma. And then finally, it decides that no, I think you are fooling me. You're only bribing me. You're only drawing me by giving an example of Virat Kohli. Okay. It might have worked for Virat Kohli, but I do not like upma. Therefore, I'm not eating upma. That's it. So this is where usually the buck stops, isn't it? But no, not for the mother. It's so natural that this happens. As a mother, if I ask this question to all the mothers in the world, what will a mother do? The first thing that a mother does is she takes away the plate on which she has put upma and she puts it back in the kitchen. She removes the thing that is actually irritating the child. She takes it away. Now she is sitting alone. So the moment this task has happened, or this much of an interaction has happened, the child tends to believe that it has gained a remarkable victory over its mother. Why does a child think that it has gained a remarkable victory over its mother? Because it thinks that it has succeeded in making its mother retreat, go back. So it considers that that it is triumphant. The child considers that it is triumphant. But it doesn't know that the mother is doing it with a proper strategy in her mind. So after putting the plate of upma back in the kitchen, what a mother does is, it's a classic thing. She calls upon the child and tells the child, no matter how old the child is, it doesn't matter. It only the format changes, the content changes, idea remains the same. The mother calls upon the kid and tells that, let me narrate you a story. Let me tell you a story. Would you be interested in listening to a story? What sort of a child says no to that? Tell me. At the moment a mother calls her kid and tells that, let me narrate you a story, every child in the world will be interested to listen to a story. Now, it is listening to the story. The mother has not made any sort of comment. The mother is not demanding anything. But in between the story, before the story even gets concluded, the child gets up, goes to the kitchen, brings the plate of upma and eats it completely. This happens. It's called as magic, isn't it? Mother's magic. Whatever it is, but you got the example, right? So if this example is firmly set in your mind, then you will understand what is the impact that a kavya does, that literature does, any sort of form of art, any art form. This is how art form functions. It beats us, it gets us onto that path of dharma without even letting us know that we are moving there. That's the brilliance of it. Okay. Whereas Veda, you are always aware. You are 100% aware. You are 360-degree. You are aware of what you are doing, where you are heading. All these details you are aware of. But whereas when it comes to the kavyas, basically kavya includes all forms of art. Now, when it comes to such art forms, they are called as kanta sammita. See, a man may ignore a king's order. A man may ignore his best friend's words. A man never ignores his wife's words, isn't it? That is why Kavya is equated with Kanta Sammita. The reason why it is called as Kanta Sammita is because of this. Kanta means a beloved one. So when a beloved one says the same exact thing, a man does it. It is similar to this, that when Kavya delivers these things, it becomes more easier to understand it. It has got a sense of aesthetics about it. It has got a sense of beauty about it, but the content has not changed. The intention has not changed. Neither the content nor the intent has changed. Only the packaging has changed. Only the way of communication has changed. The usage of words has changed. And that is exactly how Ramayana also delivers. If somebody asks what is the central theme of Ramayana, what is the central theme of Veda or Purana, the common thread that you find in all of this is dharma. Dharma is the essence of all these three things. But the way Veda has delivered dharma, the way Puranas have delivered dharma, and the way Kavyas usually deliver dharma is completely different. Kavya uh, brings up the story of Rama and Ravana and says that Ramadivad vartitavyam na Ravanadivad. It says that you should behave like Rama and not behave like Ravana. So the essence of understanding dharma lies in following somebody like Rama. That is the idea presented here. So why such a detailed introduction has been done? So the trivial part, because you need to write some notes and everything. So the trivial part for the first 30 odd minutes, what we have tried to achieve today is very simple. We have tried to see how many categories of words are there, how many categories of communication are there. Even though it is the same thing that I want to convey, in how many different ways can I convey the same thing? I can convey the same thing in 3 different ways. I can convey it like a king, like an order. I can convey it like a friend, or I can convey it like a lover. And when I convey it like a beloved one, Kanta Samhita, then we are looking into Kavya, the spectrum of Kavya. The spectrum of Kavya and this sort of communication is more powerful. But one should not forget that what exactly is it targeting? So it is targeting the same thing. It is leading us towards the same, but it is taking us through a jolly good ride while we are on our way to Dharma. While we are on our way to understanding Dharma and following Dharma, it takes us around uh, the streets of the beauty of Kavya. If somebody wants to get down on the streets and want to spend the rest of their life there itself, they are welcome to do so. There would be no bigger foolish people than them, isn't it? Because you were supposed to reach there. You should have stayed there until it took to the last stop. The last stop of this particular vehicle of art is that jnanam only, is that dharma only. It is not leading us somewhere else. It is taking us to the same station. But I want to get down here itself, and I want to spend the rest of my life uh, talking about this great form of art without understanding, without having seen the length of it, without having understood the depth of that art form. And that is a shame, isn't it? We could have achieved so much with this art form, and it somewhat is anticlimactic because we cut short our journey in the art. And when we cut short our journey in the art form, it will not lead us towards Ishvara. It will lead us towards something else. So if the Swara that we speak, if that the journey of Swara, if it has to take us till Ishvara, then we have to go all the way. And it's a one-way ticket if we are going. Okay. We can understand how while the way, all the while when we are moving towards Ishvara, we can also understand, we can also realize how everything has emerged from Ishvara. But there is no turning back. Nasa punaravartate, nasa punaravartate. That is the ultimate thing. And that is what we are trying to achieve through this Ishvara to Swara. The theme is how can we reach a place yadgatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. We might be visiting Char Dham, isn't it? No harm in visiting the Char Dham. Visit Char Dham by all means. But don't forget that you need to be in that Dhama where there is no return at all. Yad gatva na nivartante. But Char Dham jab hum jaate hain to wapas to aate hain na. Now, before we book our ticket to Char Dham, we would have already seen the return ticket as well. Because it is good fare wise, it is really better, really good, isn't it? You get a great deal if you book to and fro together. So whatever it is, but we do have this comprehension that when we are heading towards somewhere, we have to come back. But the journey towards Ishvara is not like that, unfortunately. The journey towards realization of Ishvara is a one-way thing. And after realizing what is Ishvara, or after realizing that I am that Ishvara, There is no written. Yad gatva na nivartante. There is no nivritti. There is no coming back. Na nivartante. That is tadhama paramam. That is the highest abode. And this line is taken from Bhagavad Gita. This is what Krishna mentions. Tadhama paramam mama. So that is the whole idea of Ishvara to Swara. When we are trying to build a ramp towards Ishvara, because all the Swara has emerged from Ishvara, you can pick any part of it, and all parts will eventually lead us towards Ishvara. That is the truth. Okay. So why such an elaborate foundation for the continuation of the series? Some people might wonder that I don't know what people wonder, because I don't get to see anybody. It's only my face that I see, and I look very perplexed most of the times looking at myself. So it's a very odd idea. I don't know. Anyway, I should stop complaining and move on. So the reason why such an elaborate introduction is given is for us to understand that we have covered 6 gunas now. Gunavan, Viryavan, Dharmagnya, Kritagnya, Satyavakya, and Dridhavrata. 6 qualities we have seen already. So remaining 10, we have to take a look at them. And the remaining 10 attributes that we are going to see, the first one of them is Charitrena Chako Yuktaha. This is the question posed by Valmiki, which is asking that who here in this world is complete with Charitriya. Very interesting word, Charitriya. The moment I hear the word Charitra or Charitra, the first thing that comes to my mind is, if you have been into literature and all, I'm sure you would have also come across this one. There is a famous novel in Hindi, Upanyas, which goes by the name Charitrahin. Okay. And we have heard such a word being used as an invoking of anger in them, or showing our disappointment in somebody, that they have lost, their conduct is not right, their behavior is not perfect. I don't like the way they communicate things. I don't like the way they articulate when they speak. So when we have such a problem with people, we end up concluding, and if they keep on repeating the same thing, we end up concluding them to be Charitrahina. So what is this Charitra? It's very interesting, isn't it? We loosely use this. We have used this several times. It was quite popular a few years ago. Now it has gone out of fashion, that's all. The word Charitra has gone out of fashion. Nowadays, Charitra or Charita remains only to be used as a word while bringing up a title for somebody's life journey. Buddha Charita, Ashwacharita, Go Charita, that Charita, something like that. So we have reduced the usage of word in a very literary way, in a very literary fashion. So we use the word Charitra. Charitra means history. Charitre means history. Although it is not wrong, okay, it is not wrong to understand Charitra as history, but I want to draw your attention towards the definitions given for the word Charitra in Valmiki Ramayana itself. The commentaries, the famous commentaries of Valmiki Ramayana, where they say, what is Charitram? Interestingly, 2 of these out of 3 famous commentaries, Tilaka, Bhushana, and Shiromani, Tilaka and Govindaraja, that is Bhushana, both of them say that Charitrameva Charitram. Charitram means Achara. That is what they define. Our conduct, our behavior is called as Charitra. When we say Bharatada Charite, or when we say Bharatasya Charitram, what do we actually mean? We mean that the way Bharata has conducted itself, the way Bharata has presented itself, or if we dig a little deeper into the word Charita, Chara Gatau. Chara is a dhatu that is usually used in the meaning, in the sense of gati, in the sense of movement. The way we have moved is called as charita. If we track back all our movements, it will be called as charita or charitra. It is somewhat like, leaving an imprint, or they say that virtually, or even otherwise, when we use internet, we keep leaving behind so many imprints that anybody can track. And a few years back, I guess, the governments and everybody decided that every app needs to ask the permission of the user whether they can track their movements or not. So if you have permitted the app to track your movement, then the app will track. Otherwise, they will not. At least that is what they have told us, and we have believed it. And every time we have said no to that, and we have moved on. So similarly, whether we want it or not, somebody is there who has been tracking our each and every single movement. Very interestingly, Subhashitakara mentions that who all are there who can track the movements. Okay. So they said that there are so many people, there are so many things available. What are those things? So the Subhashitakara says that Aditya, who are they? Aditya, Chandra, Vanala, Nilaucha, Dyaur Hridayam Yamascha, Ahascha, Ratrischa, Ubhecha Sandhye, Dharmascha Janati, Narasya Vrittam. So all these things are aware of each and every move that we have. Okay. Aditya. The first one is Aditya. Surya. Surya knows everything. Every single day that we have been alive, every single thing that we have done, he keeps a track of all those things. Aditya. Chandra, very famous. Anala and Anila, fire and wind. Aditya, Chandra, Vanala, Nilaucha. And then Dyauhu. Dyauhu is Swarga, the upper layer of lokas. And Bhumihi, Bhuloka. Dyaur Bhumihi, Apaha, the water. Dyaur Bhumi Rapo. Hridayam Yamascha. Hridaya, our own heart. And Antasakshi, Atmasakshi, all these words, you touch your heart and tell me whether you like this or not. Why exactly? Because we know that here, at least deep down in my heart, I know whether I am right or wrong, isn't it? So therefore, we keep asking such a question. Hridayam and Yama, obviously, the one who has bestowed this beautiful gift called as life. So he's the one who has given this gift. Hence, Hridayam Yamascha. And then Ahascha Ratrischa, the morning and the evening, or day and night. And Ubhecha Sandhya, the Sandhya Kalas, Prata Sandhya and Sayam Sandhya. And finally, Dharma. Dharmascha Janati Narasya Vrittam. All these people, all these things are aware of our behavior, of our conduct. So next time when people tell you that it's an old and outdated statement, char log kya kahenge, naak jana yen ankodalla. That was a very famous line, isn't it? And we want to dismiss that. We want to remove it from our mind, from our system, from our learning, and we want to unlearn this. Of all the things that we want to unlearn, this will be at the top of our list. It will be, at least in the top 10, it will be there. That we have been constantly told in our childhood that there will always be 4 people. Sutta mutta 4 jana, nodador yenannalla. देखने वाले क्या नहीं कहेंगे, 4 लोग क्या कहेंगे. So we should not be worried about any of these people. That's the common idea that we have. Okay. Whereas the reason why Valmiki asked this question, I want you to understand the intensity of the question. Charitrena chako yuktaha. When he mentioned, is there anybody who is bestowed with such kind of charitra? And I'll quote you from Ramayana Shiromani, the Vyakhyanam, which gives us that brilliant insight of what exactly Charitra is. So the first 2 Vyakhyanas, the first 2 commentaries, they tell us that Charitra means achara, the way we conduct ourselves. Not only for people, there are so many other elements that are keeping a track of each and every move that we are making. So we need to be quite aware of all these things. It cannot, I mean, we cannot think that our activities shall go unnoticed. Nobody has seen what I have done or what I'm thinking. No, there are so many things that are keeping a track. Okay. And some might think that this is just a bogus thing. It's just trying to scare a kid. That's why we are using such words. No, it is not. These are the very evidence that we have for each and every movement, for each and every achara that we have. You see that connection there, achara and charitra, both of them have got the same root word. So our achara determines if I have done a certain achara. Achara is a noun. If I have to say it in plain English, achara is a noun. And then if I have to use it in past tense, I would say charita. Charita is a past tense word. It's a kridanta padam. So charitam means that which has already been done. So when we say charitram, charitra itself, charita and charitra are not different from one another. Charita and charitra are the same. So now the idea is, how do we understand whether we have done things correctly or not? What is our frame of reference? We need a frame of reference if I have done correctly or not. Because all these parameters that we just mentioned, the evidences that we just mentioned, do you think any one of them have the ability to speak to us, to tell us that you are doing wrong? You should not do like this. You should do it in a certain manner. They don't. They don't have the ability to connect with us. They don't interact with us. However, it is important for us to have a certain frame of reference, because every time we get into an action, we will have some doubts regarding it. And we need a manual. And sometimes manuals work, sometimes manuals don't work. We need to rely upon an experienced person. Is there anybody who has done this before? If nobody has done this before, then how am I going to understand if I run into any trouble? Everything cannot function on trial and error method. How long will we keep on doing this trial and error method throughout our life? We are going to waste so many days just doing this trial and error. Therefore, we need a frame of reference. And if somebody follows that frame of reference, then we will call them as charitra yukta. If somebody is not following that frame of work, then they will be called as charitra hina. Thinking out of the box, or setting an example, or doing something that nobody has done before me, all these ideas sound fancy. But the toughest challenge is to remain within that framework and still succeed, still excel. And we have never kabhi आजमा के ही नहीं देखा है ना. We have never owned it. We have never tried it. We have always been told that you have to think outside the box, or you have to do something that nobody else has done. So only when we do all these kind of things, then we will be able to achieve great things. That's how we have been told. We have never had an example that following whatever has been put forth previously, following the same path, walking the same path regularly, is also a pathway to greatness. Nobody has said this to us, therefore, and we don't know any examples as such. So welcome to the question by Valmiki, because he understands how difficult it is. Therefore, he posed this question to Narada, Charitrena Koyuktaha. Who is there who has followed the Charitra completely, properly, to the T, to the word he has followed? All right. So Shiromanikara describes what is Charitra. I want to read the line and give you the explanation of what Charitra means. charitra, nitya kulachara. Two words that are to be focused here. One is it is nitya, another one is it is kulachara. The achara of my kula. I belong to a certain lineage, I belong to a certain tradition, I belong to a certain family. There will be some inherited values, there will be some inherited customs. Are we following that? One thing. Secondly, are we following it consistently? Nitya kulachara yuktaha. That is why Nitya kulachara is called as charitra. Charitra means Nitya kulachara, not inconsistent. He further goes and explains that what happens if we do not use the word, if we do not describe charitra as nitya kulachara. He says that anyatha, otherwise, kshanika kulachara kshanika yuktatvasya bahunam prasiddhatvad etat prashnasya nirarthakatva praptihi. What happens is there are many people, for example, like us, whenever it is convenient for us, we have followed our kulachara to the best. We have excelled in following our kulachara when time is convenient for us. When times are not convenient, then we have not tried to adapt ourselves to kulachara on a regular basis. We have tried to put the blame on the time, and then we have derailed ourselves from following the kulachara. So that puts us in that category of kshanika kulachara and not in nitya kulachara. So there now we have these two categories. If we don't follow the kulachara on a regular basis, on a consistent basis, but we have followed, but very haphazardly, whenever time permits, whenever we feel like following. If that is the case, then what will happen is we will be called as kshanika kulachara. It will not be nitya kulachara. It will be called as kshanika kulachara. Therefore, we need to discriminate. We need to understand the difference that exists between nitya kulachara and kshanika kulachara. That is the reason why the word charitra has been used. It's a grammatical thing. Vinapi pratyayam purvottara padayorva lopo वाच्यः इत्यनेन नित्यचारित्र नित्ययुक्त एतद्घटकीभूत नित्यपदलोपो ज्ञातव्यः. If the emphasis was on the word nitya, consistency, then why did you delete that word? You could have said nitya charitra or nitya kulachara or nitya yukta and nitya charitra. The question is charitrena chako yuktaha. The word charitra is independently used here. Yuktaha is also used independently. Yuktaha means included, or yuktaha means involved. So neither in involvement nor in kulachara the word nitya is presented by Valmiki. That's a grave mistake. You are only trying to twist it. No, we are not trying to twist it. The reason is it's a grammatical thing. He says that nitya charitra nitya yukta. The word nitya, the meaning consistency, the idea of consistency should be with both kulachara as well as our involvement in kulachara. Sometimes it can be only kulachara is nitya. Like, in our family, in our tradition, devatarchanam has come forth from several years. Okay. That's all. It has come down from many generations. It has come down. I don't do anything. Okay. I have a surname. That's all. I have kept that name to myself. I have no sense of belongingness. I have no sense of integration into the meaning of that sense. I don't want to name the names. You can guess them, but you got the idea, right? So it will say something. Traditionally, it has been passed on. Generations after generations have been named. That they are Trivedi, Chaturvedi, Dvivedi. They have been named. Vedad Gandha Gali Kuda iralla. They don't even know what is Veda. But the name is there. That should not happen. So that's why involvement should also be consistent, and the kulachara should also be consistent. If any one of them is consistent, the other one is inconsistent, then it won't go well. That is the reason why it says Nitya Charitra Nitya Yukta Etad Ghataki Bhuta. So in both in Nitya Charitra and Nitya Yukta, Ghataki Bhuta, component. What is the component? What is the common component that you can find in these two words, Nitya Charitra and Nitya Yukta? I know all of you signed up for this particular course thinking that at least on one evening we can hear the stories, aram se, laid back. Just join the class, turn off the video and keep listening the Ramayana story, but this is not turning out to be so, isn't it? This is turning out to be too technical. Why shouldn't it be technical? Because we are trying to understand the depth of the question, because if we do not understand the depth of the question, we will never get the character. We will never get the intensity of the attribute. Why this is such an important attribute? Why it has been listed as one amongst the 16 by Valmiki? We need to understand the value of this attribute. That's why I'm just trying to break it down as much as possible so that we understand the intensity of the question. Now, the common component that we find in these two words, Nitya Charitra and Nitya Yukta, is the word Nitya. Okay. And that Nitya Lopa, that word has disappeared. The word that is commonly found as a component in both Charitra as well as Yukta is Nitya, and that Nitya word has disappeared. Why has it disappeared? Because Vinapi Pratyayam Purvottara Padayor Va Lopo Vachyaha. This is the Vyakarana rule. Pratyayam Vinapi. Without the Pratyaya as well, Purvottara Padayoho. Both in the Purva Pada as well as in the Uttara Pada. In the first word as well as in the next word, Lopo Vachyaha. You can actually delete the word. You can actually make the word disappear. Deleting is different, making it disappear is different. That's why immediately after using the word delete, I use the word making it disappear. So we have only made the word Nitya disappear from Charitra and Yukta, from Kulachara and consistency or involvement. We have made the word Nitya disappear from these two concepts, but we have not completely omitted it. The idea has not been compromised. So the consistency in relation with both Kulachara as well as involvement remains the same. It has not gone. It is there. It is definitely there. Only thing that has disappeared is the word has disappeared, not the idea. Therefore, when Valmiki asked this question, when Valmiki put forth this question, Charitrena ko yuktaha, kaha charitrena yuktaha. This is the question that he framed. He meant kaha nitya charitrena nitya yuktaha. That is the question. So how do we need to understand this particular question is Nitya Charitra Yuktaha. And if we take the word Nitya Charitra Yuktaha, then it is convenient for us to realize that the word Nitya, the idea of Nitya, the idea of consistency can be easily associated with both Charitra as well as Yukta. Yuktaha means involved. Now the question is, we understood that Charitra is something that has already been done, already been followed. That is called as Charitra, Achara, Kulachara, something that the generations have followed. And the generations have followed, all the previous generations have followed it in a consistent manner. And there is a necessity for me to be involved in it with the same consistency, with the same achara. I'm not supposed to change that achara. Valmiki's question was this: is there anybody who has remained true with his involvement to the Kulachara in a consistent manner? Is it that difficult to follow Kulachara in a consistent manner, you ask? Yes, it is. Because if we just take it away from the context of Ramayana and apply this to our own life and ask this question, They say that, our ancestors, they used to, our previous generations, they used to do so many puja, so many offerings, so many vratas and everything on a daily basis. We cannot do that. We have to change by as the time changes. The only constant thing in the world is change. You see, these are all coming from a point of view of escapism, and we are not understanding all these things. How can dharma change, you tell me? Dharma doesn't change. Dharma should not change, isn't it? Dharma cannot change, so it has to remain the same. But we do not want to take up that kind of decision. We want to change it. So what is convenient for us is blaming on something that is inevitable. What is the inevitable thing that we find surrounding us? Time is the inevitable thing that we find surrounding us. Isn't it better to blame it on time? It's all time. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲಿಗಾಲ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ? So simple to say that. ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಲಿ ಪ್ರಭಾವ, ನಮ್ದೇನು ಇಲ್ಲ. I want to perform dharma. I want to follow dharma. Kali can't help. Kali, Yuga dharma is like that. We don't care about our swadharma, but we are aware. We are masters in understanding Yuga dharma. See, all these hypocritical thoughts must vanish. Because when it comes to following the kulachara, we haven't done justice. We haven't been consistent, first and foremost, and we haven't been consistently involved either. The kulachara itself has not been consistent, unfortunately. Whatever has remained in our kulachara has also not been dealt with dealt with complete involvement, with consistent involvement by us. That is our problem. So where do we look? How long or how far should we dial back? We have to go back and ask this question to ourselves, that who are our forefathers? Where did this entire journey began? ಒಂದ್ ಎಕರೆ ಜಾಗ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ, ಜಮೀನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವಂಶವೃಕ್ಷ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ. They see all the family tree, okay, before buying land and everything, okay. And we are least bothered about looking back into our own lineage, into our own kula, into our own vamsha. We are the descendants of whom? This is the reason why it was so easy for the Westerners to distort the idea of our descendants, the idea of our ancestors. That's why Aryan invasion theory invaded our minds so easily. It was so easy to disrupt the whole idea, isn't it? I know there will be many intellectually hungry people who would want to listen more about Aryan invasion theory. I'm not interested in that. It goes beyond that, isn't it? Aryan, Dravidian, you forget, you shoot all these things. If we dial further back, we are all the descendants of rishis, isn't it? It is not convenient for the so-called historians to speak about, because they don't have the bloody evidence with them, isn't it? Where will they go for the evidence? Because they don't want to rely on the Gotra Pravara. Because if they have to adhere to all these Gotra Pravara and think, they would have to believe, they would have to associate themselves, they would have to get themselves tagged to Veda, to Vaidika Dharma. That is so uncool, isn't it? I want to be an artist, but I don't want to associate myself with Veda. Shabash. Narak mein jaoge. Khas narak mein jaoge. If you ever think that the art and literature and everything, whether it is dance, music, sculpture, whatever the form of art it might be, if it is Bharatiya, it has to be Vaidika. There is no other way around. There is nothing that is Avaidika in Bharata. You can put it on record anyway. नाम बदल देना अगर ये गलत है तो. There is nothing Avaidika that is Bharatiya. If it is Bharatiya, then it has to be Vaidika. That's how much the influence is on Bharatavarsha of Veda. and we don't want to admit it. We are not very proud of Vaidika Dharma, because the moment we say Vaidika Dharma, it feels like, we are going backwards. Our country is progressing backwards. The moment you say all these things, they will feel that, this is all too dogmatic, too stubborn, and kind of orthodox approach, traditional approach, conventional methodology. All absolute rubbish words, I tell you, just to deviate us from feeling pride in our own heritage, in our own tradition. We are the descendants of rishis. The Upanishad called us Amritasya Putraha. It went further back. It said that you are all the great sons of Amrita. Amrita is Brahma. That is even beyond our imagination. At least that we can hold on to is the fact that we are all the descendants of the rishis. And this very word will, we should actually shake the very foundation of our existence. Am I involved consistently in the Rishi Achara? That is when I can call myself as Charitravan. That's when I can claim that I have been conducting myself very well. I have a good conduct. I have behaved well. I can claim so only when I have the confidence that I have consistently involved myself in the Kulachara. Kula of whom? Whose Kula do we belong to? We belong to the Rishi Kula. This has got a lot of interpretations left. We have to identify what story, identify in the sense we must wait for the next week to see what story actually gets connected with the Charitra Yuktatva, Nitya Kulachara, Nitya Yuktatva of Rama. What is it that, what episode particularly brings out this phenomenal quality, this phenomenal attribute in Rama, and how much of this quality are we missing out in our life? And the reason why I mentioned Prabhu Samhita, Suhrit Samhita, and Kanta Samhita, how they have not deviated, how they have not changed the content, the idea, the spirit remains the same, but their approach, their articulation has differed. Their articulation has changed, but not the intention. The intention has always remained the same. And how they deliver the same exact thing. Each and every mantra, isn't it? Each and every mantra in Veda has got a rishi. Even the mantras have got a rishi. I think I am a freshly born piece. Some people on their Instagram bio, they write it like this, no? Limited edition. Foolish people, I tell you. We have forgotten to whose family we belong. We have forgotten whether we are doing justice. I say that I belong to Vasishtha Gotra. I say that I belong to Jamadagni Gotra. I belong to Bharadwaja Gotra. I belong to Vishwamitra Gotra. Do we have that honesty to carry forward their name? It's one thing to carry their name, adding it as a surname. Second name, it's very interesting, isn't it? Calling ourselves with a rishi's name. But do we truly have that capacity? Do we truly have that consistency mainly? Because the moment we associate with a rishi, it means that we are acknowledging the fact that I belong to this gotra. If I'm acknowledging that I belong to this gotra, then I need to ask this question, have I been following consistently? Have I involved myself consistently in the kulachara of that rishi? How would rishis have behaved? What was their life like? If we understand that, then we understand whether I have followed charitra or not, whether I am charitravan or not. And Rama did. Rama absolutely did. He did not need any sort of reminding by anybody about his kulachara. That was the greatness of Rama. Whereas we require somebody to remind us that you are the great son of so and so, you belong to this great Vamsha. It is like, bhais ke aake bean bajana. That's how it has been in front of us. Honestly speaking, they have been shouting all the Vedas, the Puranas, the Kavyas, everything, each and every stone standing in that temple. Where do you think that idea emerged? Who do you think is the Adhisthata, or who do you think is the propagator of the Shilpa Shastra? There will always be a Rishi behind every Shastra, no? No, but I like the work of 19th century or Renaissance period. Yeah, only that much. Limited vision. Okay. That is why the Upanishad called us, and it said, Dirgham Pashyata, Ma Hrasvam. It could have ended by saying, Dirgham Pashyata, look long. It said, look long, don't limit your vision, and don't shorten your vision. Dirgham Pashyata Ma Hrasvam. That's the call of Upanishad. Therefore, if we have to reconcile back to our Kulachara, then we need to identify there's a long way to go. That is why this is one of the toughest attributes to possess. It won't come easy. This is not one of the easiest ones. And if you could find plenty of examples for other attributes in other people, but charitrena chako yuktaha, very hardly you will find somebody who have stood consistently in their kulachara. Okay. So that brings us to the closure of today's session. If there are any questions related to today's session, we can take a few, and then we will meet again next week. Thank you.
You didn't give any assignments.
Today's assignment.
Last time also you didn't give.
Today's assignment. Last time also I did not give any assignment because I don't even know. There are only 3 or 4 people who do the assignment. Honestly, it's been a very poor response, and I don't even know who are they, what are they. I'm speaking just to myself. So, and I've been doing a very good assignment of myself, so I'm very happy. So let me see. We'll continue with the assignment once we get this sorted out, because I want to see who are they and why are they listening. I never get to interact with them at all.
If they want to ask a question now, I think there was an option to make them panelist.
Oh, acha.
Now I can do it.
Oh, yeah. If we make them a
If there's
panelist.
anybody who wants to ask a question, I'll promote them to panelist.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, there is one question, I guess. After the connecting story in the next class, we may have questions. Oh, yeah, fair enough. So it means that the concept of charitra and concept of nitya charitra, nitya kulachara, nitya yukta, I think those concepts are clear, I believe. So that's a good thing. Seem complete in itself.
When you talk about our duties,
Yeah.
what will it vary from kulam to kulam? And what is the
Yes,
criteria on the basis of? Is it
yeah,
because of
it
the
surely does, but not
Varna?
remarkably. We will not find huge differences. There might be, maybe the order, the chronology may vary, or the significance will never vary. Their approach towards dharma might vary depending upon the conditions, and it would have gone through a lot of modifications in terms of working out, depending upon the time and other aspects as well. But that doesn't mean that they would have never compromised on the core idea of dharma. That is why you remember how much of emphasis did Arjuna put in his argument on kula dharma. Dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhavatyuta. So he mentioned about kula kshaya kritam dosham. and all these things. So kula dharmascha shashvataha. You find this word kula dharma, and this word kula dharma is very much, you can say, like a kind of they have this trademark. The Kshatriyas have trademarked this word Kula Dharma. It's very, they take huge pride in the word Kula Dharma. It's not that it is meant only for them. Each and every person, whether they are Brahmana, Vaishya, or Shudra, to whatever Varna they belong, they will have a certain Kula Dharma. That Kula Dharma is always going to be there. As I said, it would have gone through slight changes depending upon the time, and it is subjected to various circumstances. But never ever any kulachara would have gone to an extent where they have compromised the very essence of that kulachara, essence of that kula. That much I can assure.
Okay.
And this is the reason why even now, I'll tell you, all the Vaidika karma that we follow, whether it is Smarta karma or Shrauta karma. Let us take these Smarta karmas only. Whether it is Ganapati Homa, Navagraha Homa, or all these Griha Pravesha, the Samskaras, and all these things. What is the source for that? We always tend to say that ours is Yajurveda, ours is Rigveda. And along with that, in the pravara, when somebody tells their pravara, you have to keenly observe that they also mention a sutrakara. Apastamba Sutra, Bodhayana Sutra, Ashvalayana Sutra. It is, what is Apastamba? Apastamba was a rishi. Bodhayana was a rishi. Ashvalayana was a rishi. So it is these rishis who have given a set of things. The practicality of it, how to bring it to practice, has been laid down by these. They would have written Shulba Sutra, Dharma Sutra, Kalpa Sutra, all these. So we get to know the details, and Grihya Sutra. These are the 4 sutras available for every Veda. So we get to know what sort of dharma should be followed by all those who belong to Apastamba Sutra of Yajurveda. Very clear. Same thing applies to each and everyone. That is why that document is so important. That is why we value those who are well versed in all those things. When people say that they have done their Veda Dhyayana completely, this is what we mean. They have to, studying Veda doesn't mean memorizing Veda mantras. That is not the idea. It should be Sangopanga. Veda should always be studied along with its Anga and Upanga. So when they study Anga and Upanga, they will get to know what sort of an impact does Veda have on the sociological life, or on the social life. It is very important. It is our mistake that we have cut the cord between Veda and Samaja. We think that Veda is different, Samaja is different. It's our problem. Society and Veda are inseparable in the Bharatiya perspective, in the Rishi's perspective. So the moment we try to find these missing threads, I think that will give us a complete picture of what a Kulachara looks like. Fortunately, most of it is lost, but not everything is lost. There are few things that are still available. We need to work hard, really work hard to trace it back and keep the piece as it is and try to pass it on further. That's a huge responsibility that we have.
So you're saying Ramayana is equal to Vedas and in spirit. So, but in the way it is written, it's very different, right?
It is.
So,
As I said, the style of
how can
articulation,
we say that it's equal?
it equal in the sense that the propagation is of dharma. Ramayana talks about dharma, Vedas too talk about only dharma. So that way, the content has not changed. The content has remained the same. So that gives us a clarity, because that content is similar, is the same across all these things. So it will not make any difference. Only the style of articulation is different. One is we are looking Veda. Let us take dharma as the central concept. And dharma in Prabhu Samhita looks like Veda. Dharma in Kanta Samhita looks like Ramayana. That's the viewpoint. That's where we need to reach. And if we have reached there, then we can claim that yes, I have seen or I have studied Ramayana. Otherwise, the study of Ramayana is incomplete. We may have understood word to word meaning. That's a different thing. But to see this idea that how the same thing has been propagated in Kanta Samhita in Ramayana and Prabhu Samhita in Veda, that is the proper understanding. Yeah. There's one more question here. You mentioned 3 commentaries. Yes. I hope you will elaborate in the next class. Can you please mention them once? Yeah, definitely. The first one is Tilaka. Ramayana Tilaka is the name of the commentary. And then this was written by a person, a scholar named Rama. A scholar named Rama has written a commentary called as Ramayana Tilaka on Ramayana. Very interesting, isn't it? And then Shiva Sahaya is the name of the author who has given the commentary called as Ramayana Shiromani. And then the third one is Govinda Raja. Govinda Raja is a person who has commentated on Ramayana. It is called as Ramayana Bhushana. Okay. So these are the 3 famous commentaries. Usually we remove the word Ramayana from 3 of them and we get Tilaka, Bhushana, Shiromani. These are the 3 famous commentaries on Ramayana. These are not the only commentaries on Ramayana. There are many other commentaries available as well. But these 3 are generally considered, widely considered as quite brilliant and authentic as well when it comes to propagation of Ramayana. All right, there is one more question. Everyone is not an adhikari to study Veda. Correct. Everyone is not an adhikari to study Veda. Absolutely right. But we are talking about that is why the Ramayana was given. No? The content, it has to be articulated in a form where it becomes accessible to the public as well. What content becomes accessible to public? The content like Itihasas, Puranas, Ramayana, and other kavyas, they are accessible to people. So there is no conflict there, because the confidence is that the tattva that they want to propagate has not been compromised, has never been compromised. Whether it is kavya, whether it is Purana, whether it is Veda, the tattva has not been compromised. That is why we respect these kavyas so much. Whether even if it is an art form, if you understand the art form in its purity, in its original sense, then it would not have lost its true essence, because there would be no compromising. But the way we see kavya today, the way we see several art forms today, has undergone several changes. It has undergone so many changes that it has compromised the very essence, the very heart and soul of itself. That's why it is very difficult for us to relate to the fact that kavya and all the art forms are also propagating the same Vedartha. Whatever artha has been told in Veda is the same artha that is being told in Itihasa, Purana, Kavya, and other art forms. The statement looks bold, the statement looks brilliant, but why are we not able to relate to it is because we haven't been fortunate enough to witness these art forms in its purest form. It has undergone so many changes. The changes are to an extent where it has compromised the essence of it. Therefore, we find it slightly difficult. Okay. All right. I think we can conclude it here for today. And we will take up the example, the episode from Ramayana in order to know Charitra, Nitya Charitra and Nitya Yuktatva of Rama in the next class. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you.